Hi everyone, so we're here today to talk about artificial sweeteners and the effect that they have on your body. So anybody that follows me and knows me knows that I am not a big fan of artificial sweeteners or sweeteners really. So what we're going to go through today is why that is and the effect they have on your body. So first of all, let's talk about why artificial sweeteners were actually invented in the first place. So the idea behind them was that you could have the sweetness of sugar without the damaging side effects of sugar. So most artificial sweeteners are much sweeter than sugar. So when you eat them, we get used to this very chemical, extremely sweet taste. And that can have lots of effects on the body, as we'll go on to in a bit. But some sweeteners that you may be familiar with are saccharin, aspartame, sulfame K, sucralose. They are the four very well-known artificial sweeteners. And these are the ones to avoid, so you should be reading packages and making sure that you're avoiding these sweeteners. But why? What are the detrimental effects that they could be having on your body? Well, studies have shown that artificial sweeteners increase the risk of diabetes and metabolic syndrome. There are conflicting studies on heart disease. Some show that they increase the risk of heart disease, whilst other studies show that there's no association. Same for cancer. Some studies have shown a link between certain artificial sweeteners and an increased risk of cancer, whilst others show no association at all. In my opinion, I think because there are some studies that show that there is possibly a risk associated with heart disease and cancer, then it's a no-go. It's not worth the risk. So there's plenty of other alternatives. I think there's no point in taking or using artificial sweeteners just in case there's not a problem with them. So I definitely strongly recommend avoiding artificial sweeteners for that reason. So why do artificial sweeteners have this effect on our bodies? Why do they cause these problems, or potentially cause these problems? Well, we don't really know for sure. We don't have all the answers. But what we do know is that they are incredibly sweet, much sweeter than sugar. And one theory is that because we get used to this incredible sweetness from them, that changes our taste buds, and then fruit tastes not so good and vegetables taste awful as a result of consuming these artificial sweeteners. So when you cut out sweeteners and sugars out of your diet, one of the things that people usually notice is that fruits and vegetables start to taste a lot better, and that actually vegetables have a natural sweetness to them that you can't taste when you're used to eating very chemically sweetened foods. So that's one of the theories, that maybe we have an increased risk of cancers, heart disease, metabolic syndrome, because the way that these sweeteners change our taste buds means that we have a reduced preference for fruits and vegetables, which are known to reduce the risk of these conditions. So that's one theory. Another theory is that maybe because artificial sweeteners are guilt-free, that people end up eating more of other things like cake and biscuits because they feel like, oh well, I'm being good and I'm having a diet product. So that might be a reason why artificial sweeteners increase the risk of these conditions. There's also some theory and some research to indicate that particularly saccharin can sort of trigger addictive behaviours, and you can become addicted to saccharin, and so you end up eating more food. Even though there's no sugar in it, you still end up eating more food than you usually would. And that links in with the next one, which is cravings. So the sweet taste of food has been linked to switching on certain parts of the brain when we consume sugar, but it might be that consuming artificial sweeteners also stimulates those areas of the brain, and we know that sugar is addictive, so maybe artificial sweeteners are addictive in the same way. We know that just the taste of something sweet triggers the production of insulin, which is the hormone that helps to bring your blood sugar down. And when we have an overproduction of the hormone insulin, that's when insulin resistance can develop, and then later on diabetes and pre-diabetes. And so maybe consuming artificial sweeteners, because they are so intensely sweet, maybe they trigger the production of insulin as well. And then something else that we know is that artificial sweeteners have been shown to disrupt the gut bacteria, and the gut bacteria can control how much sugar you absorb from your food, and therefore the extent to which your blood sugar is increased. They control how many calories you absorb from your meals, and they can also communicate with your brain. And if you have a bacteria that likes to feed off of sugar or starches, then they can send signals to your brain and increase the cravings that you get for those foods, so that that bacteria gets its fuel. So artificial sweeteners can very much disrupt your gut bacteria, and therefore can increase your appetite and reduce your metabolism and make you more prone to weight gain. So this is one of the well-known side effects of artificial sweeteners, is that whilst originally the idea was that they would help to combat obesity and weight gain, actually what the research shows is that they increase obesity and weight gain. And that is one of the mechanisms that might be involved. There is how they affect the gut bacteria, but also all those other things that I mentioned about how your taste is being affected, about whether sort of you're feeling guilt-free because you've had a diet product, and the rest of them. Maybe these are the reasons why artificial sweeteners increase the risk of obesity and weight gain. So all in all, I would recommend completely avoiding artificial sweeteners. Now, there are natural sweeteners, things like stevia, and then there's things like xylitol and erythritol, which are somewhere in between artificial and natural. They start off natural, but they're very processed. So stevia is generally the best option when you want to naturally sweeten something. However, it's not particularly popular because it does have a bit of a bitter aftertaste. So it works in some things and it doesn't work in others. So what's the answer then? I would suggest that you gradually wean yourself off of the sweet taste of things, so that you can wean yourself off of sugar, basically. So to do that, all you need to do is, when you are preparing things, just put gradually less and less sugar in over time. Even if it takes you a year to cut the sugar out of your tea, by reducing down from 1 teaspoon to a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, then over time that's going to have a beneficial impact on your health. So the less sugar you consume, the more your taste buds change, and the easier it is to eat completely sugar-free foods. So give yourself time and just gradually reduce down the amount of sugar you're eating and the amount of sugar you're adding to foods, and then you'll find that you don't need to be looking for artificial sweeteners or for natural sweeteners, because you won't need to have sugar at all. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. Leave them down there in the comments. Make sure you give me a like. Make sure that you give me a subscribe as well if you want to keep seeing these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye bye.